We've had, if anyone knows what an inversion is, there's been an inversion here. Beautiful sunny blue up in the mountains and completely frosty, misty, foggy, low cloudy. Everything is like covered in this white frost. It looks really awesome. It's very wintry, but my body, unless I'm doing jumping jacks and push-ups and squats, tends to get cold pretty easily. So when it's like this. So anyway, that's why I'm gripping my mug. Um, and I'm coming in this space with that sound and with a curiosity on my mind, which is to talk about this experience of safety in ourselves and how our nervous system, and talking about the nervous system as a normalized understanding about being human, being in these bodies, being an organism that lives with nerves, with a brain. The brain, the spinal column being the central nervous system, and then all of the other nerves moving through our entire body is the autonomic nervous system, and how we are a responsive creature to our environment. We are responsive in utero, we are responsive in infancy, and these responsive patterns get set based off of the the response we're receiving via our experience, um, as early as being in utero, and that some of these responsive patterns, come through even in this epigenetics body of research that's happening, that are showing up that some of these things are actually inherited in some of these patterns of the way our brain is set up. um, yeah, I'm speaking this in layman's terms, but that those things come in with us from moving out through birth into the world and becoming a creature independent of our mother. So our body learns, the nervous system attunes to how it can survive and how it can stay safe. And I wanted to speak a bit about like what is patterned safety versus what is embodied safety. I had a teacher a couple years ago. I remember her speaking about safety, and she was talking about how, like, true safety is like it's an experience in the body. And then when you make boundaries, they're coming from a place that's coming from within your body, because there's a clarification happening inside oneself versus a boundary that's being set. I want to pause for a second and say neither one of these things are wrong. They're things that just happen to us in our human experience. So the protective boundary that's coming from out here, I need to protect myself and I need to create this environment so that my body stays safe. So I will plant this boundary out here so that my body can stay safe, so that my nervous system doesn't get impacted. And this is often often how many of us navigate through life, that we're moving from this place of like, I need to create this external circumstance so that my body doesn't get impacted, because the pattern that I know to be safe, which is coming from a place of powerlessness from fear. Protection come Protection is motivated from a place of, I am not safe, therefore I need to create this external reality, so that my body, my nervous system stays in a place of safety. So I hope I'm articulating that in a way that makes sense. So I'll just describe the other way, versus when we move into an adult experience, and all of us have been impacted in some way, on some level, by some sort of insecure attachment patterning from birth. I would say, okay, so maybe not everyone. I can't make a blanket kind of never or always, those kinds of words that are are so limited in their ability to hold exceptions because there's exceptions to everything. Um, but I would say the vast majority of us have been brought into an environment through birth and infancy where we're not getting 100% secure attachment patterning, which creates a nervous system that is securely attached to itself. So we move into adulthood with these insecure attachment patterns, and we typically are unaware of them happening. They're happening in our subconscious. They're informing our choices. They're informing how we move through life. And that's fine. There's again, that's like this is just me talking about this not from a place of judgment, but from a place of observing human behavior and human choice. And um it's the subconscious choice making to help the nervous system maintain this learned freedom, this learned nervous system safety, that is so explainable for every one of us. We stay in the pattern because that's what the body knows to keep itself safe. And there's an insecure attachment that's happening that is, I need to conduct things outside of me to be a certain way so that the pattern itself continues to stay reinforced so that my body can stay calm, so that my body can stay, I would say, artificially. It's not truly artificially because the body experiences it as safety, but it's artificial meaning that it's not it's not unattached to external circumstance. It is attached to to external circumstance. Therefore, it becomes a manipulation, a management, a maintenance, a control, an artificial safety because we're having things to look a certain way, feel a certain way outside of us so that our body can feel okay. So the pattern interruption goes like this for many of us, and I'll just speak for myself. The pattern interruption, I gotta put a little bit of this hot liquid down my body because I need some. Mm, and my cup's getting cold, so I can tell that it's cooling down. I wanna have a little bit of it before it cools it down all the way. So I'll describe So take that general kind of understanding of how we move through life in order to keep our nervous system safe consciously. I'm going to say subconsciously. And now the pattern interrupt is noticing how untenable that dynamic is, how exhausting that dynamic is, how unsustainable truly that dynamic is. It's like it is so much energy to need all of these parts around us to be a certain way. And coupled with that most of us don't actually have the skills to be able to neutralize emotional energies as they're showing up for us in our day and our lived experience. So we're exerting all this energy to shape our environment so that we don't get activated, so that we don't get triggered, so that we don't have to create these protective experiences so that our nervous system stays safe and its patterned way, its programmed way of maintaining safety, coupled combined with that we don't have the skills to express those emotional energies that then feel like debilitating. So it's like all of these things are getting layered onto each other, and the body just feels like, it's so heavy. It's so heavy. I had this plate of anxiety in my upper chest for 15 years, from like 23, 24, 25-ish until late 30s, early 40s. It shifted through somatic expression. I was at a week-long conference, and I'd been building up to this in my own practices multiple times a week for about 4.5 months. moving energy through my body, stuck energy through my body, through sound and movement, through my coaching training. And then I went to a week-long retreat in Costa Rica with 100 other women, and we practiced every day, multiple times together, meeting each other where we were at in these places in our body, and witnessing each other, the powerfulness of witnessing a person for whatever their experience is, fully welcomed, fully permitted, fully safe to just be. So we were each met by this community of women held by an incredible group of facilitators, my 3 teachers, plus another group of people who were helping to hold the experience. And I had an, a completely different feeling in my body after this week-long experience of moving these energies through my body through sound and movement. And I came back to Oregon. On my way back to Oregon, I kept feeling like, okay, wait, it's still there, right? Like that feeling is still in there, isn't it? I was trying to think it back into my body, this tightness, this plate, this kind of stuck, like tight, sort of scratchy feeling in my upper chest. I kept trying to think it back in my body. I could not. It was gone. And it was such a powerful realization that this stuckness in my body was gone. And granted, I've had it kind of move back into me in moments while I'll be in a state of anxiety from something going on in my life, and now I have the tools to work with that, and I also am building this, which I'm gonna talk a little bit more about, this embodied safety. Um, so we're in the pattern, and we also don't have the skills to work with the energies, so we have this, like, mm, multi-layered feeling of helplessness in the body. It's like it's not um it's not true powerfulness because we are dependent on the pattern to continue to implement itself to create this superficial artificial safety, and then we also don't have the skills to actually like support our nervous system. So it's a both and. So the pattern interrupt is getting to a place where we're like, oh my God, I cannot take it anymore. I'm gonna start to cry. So many people I speak to all the time, body is either completely numbed off because that's part of the trauma pattern as well as just to like we just go into complete dissociation with the body on like almost like a normal basis where the body is like completely shut down, numb, can't feel it. There's so much more to say about that, but or we're feeling it so strongly that it becomes this, um, it's like a chronic pain, a chronic felt experience that whether we're connecting with it consciously or not, it's there, and we're on some level aware of it and how it's impacting us. Um, for me, I'll be in this state, like, I can see how I show up for my son. If I'm not in a place of feeling flow in my physical, energetic, somatic nervous system body, I'll notice how my capacity to show up in the way that I want to for him is different, and the capacity that I wanna show up for my just life in general is different. So, we get to a point, I'll call it a crisis moment perhaps, and this can be on all different levels, right? It can be this like maybe there's like an accident that happens. Maybe there's like a disease that becomes like I'll talk about more about that, or I think I have in another previous one of these episodes where the body has this actual saturation point for nervous system debilitation through stress, overwhelm, and trauma not being met over years of time. The body even, like, understanding this is like a almost like a chronic state of confusion. Confusion is a type of fear. Chronically, this becomes like the body holds on to this in a way that becomes traumatizing over a period of time as it's chronic. Um, so however it arrives, we get to a place of like, "I cannot take this anymore." And we, through conscious practice, choose to figure something out. Like, "What? I can't do this anymore. I need to figure something else out." And so people will go to therapy, maybe go to ayahuasca retreat, maybe go to, meditation retreat, all these different things that like whatever's feeling like true for you to go explore to support yourself. And there becomes, hopefully, in one of these experiences, a pattern interruption. Um, I've heard this from so many people also where that can happen. And the interruption is such an important part of it. And the most important part of it is what happens after, because the brain is going to want to move itself back into what's familiar, back into what's known, until we stay with it in a consistent way so that it actually relearns a new way, and that takes time. So, embodied safety is found there. Embodied safety is found in this practice of becoming curious, inquiring with oneself, shifting this awareness of like, I need to figure out how to manage my external environment so that my body feels okay versus, oh my God, this is radical self responsibility. This is radical self accountability for why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and go in here. Look at what's going on in here in the patterns and the programming of the brain, of the nervous system. And in that process, we just the awareness itself is the beginning of the interrupt. Just beginning to establish self-awareness. Through self-inquiry, we get a little bit of self-awareness. We start to move through, meet our body where it's hungering, craving to be met, which is with acceptance and understanding. Our body is just wanting us to pay attention to it. It's like hitting my head against a wall. The body is like, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. So we start to listen to our body, pay attention to what's happening. Sheer Through the act of sheer pausing and being with, we are already opening to this new space that starts to interrupt the pattern. This is how we cultivate embodied safety, is by going in here. And then we become not attached to how something needs to look on the outside. Now, this is the cool part, is that we actually start to discern differently in how we move ourselves through life. Not, though, because of a place of fear and protection, but from a place of deeper self sourced clarity and safety and powerfulness and knowing. And that starts to create this like generative life domino effect where our our being is actually being met by itself, and then we orient to life in a different way. Hmm. I hope that's helpful for those listening now, for those listening at a future moment on this dimensional time space continuum. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being curious. For you, your curiosity for you benefits all of us, benefits the human species at large, the world. Grateful for you for being curious. Mm. And I'm here if anyone is curious to reach out and talk more about this. You can check more out on my Substack or on my website. I'm always happy to talk more. Mm. Seeing you, holding you in reverence and dignity, and sending my love.